Hello, and welcome to another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. I'm Wayne Highlander, National Sales Manager for Bona Adhesives.
And I'm Rob Johnson from Bona Training.
Rob, have I been looking forward to this episode?
Oh my, yes.
Yes, this is going to be interesting. You know, there's a lot of characters, and one of the interesting things about our trade is the people that are in the trade. That's what makes the trade. That's what makes it fun and interesting, and we're fortunate to meet a lot of people in this industry from a lot of different backgrounds. There seems to be a lot of musicians in our industry and other professions, but this is a new one for me. So, Rob, you want to introduce our two new guests?
All right, we got today we have Wayne Roberts and Marshall Roberts, father son, floor sanding, from Birmingham, Alabama. Why don't you introduce yourself, guys? You can do a lot better job than I just did.
I am Wayne Roberts, and this is my son, Marshall Roberts.
How we doing, guys?
We're a two-generation flooring company.
Nice. Well, welcome, and then it's great to have you guys on. And first of all, I'm going to say that anybody that can if you're both entertainers in some way, right? So anybody that has the guts to put yourself out there when you're entertaining people, I got a lot of respect for. I mean, that's pretty tough to do, man. And so I'm looking forward to talking to you guys. So I'm gonna have to start with the gentleman that does the Elvis Presley. That's Wayne, right? That does Elvis Presley.
That's correct.
All right. How did you get into this?
Well, I'm 50 years old now. When I was about 33 or so, I saw Elvis for the first time on a DVD, or may have been a VCR tape in those days. I saw him perform in his Hawaii concert, the Aloha, in 1973. And I heard this guy sing all my life, like on the radio and stuff like that. But this first time I actually saw him in a concert deal. And I'm like, man, this guy's really cool. So it kind of grew on me. I grew some sideburns. I dyed my hair black. And a lady saw me at the ball field and asked me would I dress up like Elvis for her mother's 80th birthday party. So I ordered a suit, and it took off from there.
So first of all, I remember that same concert you're talking about. Holy smokes! Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you that I think the line starts behind Elvis Presley. I think he is absolutely the best entertainer of all time. I really do. But where the hell does one order Elvis Presley suit at? Because now you got me thinking.
Yeah, you got to order them online, and then when you get them right, you have to go get a lot of work done to them, and before it's over with, you got several $1,000s in them.
Wow.
Wayne, please, and I'm talking to Wayne Highlander right now. Do not order an Elvis costume. All right,
the red hair, man.
Don't do it. No, you listen. Listen to your voice and listen to his voice.
I know.
He's halfway there. Okay.
Yeah.
He sounds like Elvis even without the sideburns. All right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy. Maybe an Irish Rover or something like that, but not the Elvis thing.
How dare you?
I tried to throw you a bone there. Give you the Irish Rovers or something like that. That was the only Irish group I could think of.
Well, this begs the next question then: Wayne, can you sing?
I can sing.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't dance very well, but I sing pretty well.
So the singing you do, that's your own singing when you do your shows.
It's karaoke style music, but it's my voice, his music.
Nice.
What's your go-to song?
Maybe Suspicious Minds, something like that. Blue suede shoes. Nice. You just got to shake your leg a little bit and say thank you very much.
Well, my all-time favorite song of his is Suspicious Minds, which kills, man. That's my all-time favorite. Followed by In the Ghetto, by the way. Have you ever, just off topic, have you ever heard Fine Young Cannibals do Suspicious Minds?
I have not.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you remember that and Google that. Find Young Cannibals doing Suspicious Minds. It's the only
Yep.
cover. The only cover that I really love of that song, because nobody can do it like Elvis.
You ever sand a floor dressed like Elvis?
No. Thank God. He said, thank God.
All right, we're gonna get to the wrestling thing too in a minute, but I gotta ask. So, are you you're like a huge Elvis fan then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Been to Graceland twice. But,
Okay.
Yeah.
So
All
have
in.
I. But I might have you on something here. Okay. Have you been to Graceland too?
I've been
To Graceland too?
No, I have not been to Graceland too.
Have you ever heard of Graceland too?
Never.
I have
I've never
not
heard of it.
Okay, I've been to Graceland too. Now, Graceland 2 doesn't exist anymore. It's was a tourist attraction, and it's in what was in Holly Springs, Mississippi. Okay, now I had a book called Off the Beaten Path, Mississippi, and this was Graceland 2, and this guy was a massive Elvis Presley fan, and he dedicated his entire house like a mini Graceland. And there wasn't a square inch of inside his house that didn't have some Elvis Presley memorabilia, including on the ceilings, on the walls, absolutely everywhere. He named his son Elvis Aaron Presley was his son's name. And he had pictures of him, and he says, "Doesn't he look like Elvis?" And I thought, homie, you have lost your mind, because he looks nothing like Elvis. This is a tourist attraction. It cost you $5. It was open 24/7. You could literally go by there anytime, pay $5. This guy would walk you through and give you a tour. 2 weeks after I did the tour, this man was thrown in jail and arrested for shooting a man on his front porch. So they auctioned off all the contents, and somebody purchased the house. It no longer exists.
I'd like to have that house.
I know it. Yep.
How's your wife feel about you when you're because I did karaoke one night. Pauline was there, and I did In the Ghetto, and she lost it. I mean, it was she never looked at me the same after that. I was her Elvis, man. So how's your wife like it?
It kind of works two different ways. By the way, In the Ghetto was the #1 requested song ever when I did the little shows I did. But she don't like being called Priscilla.
Rob does.
She made me quit doing. She made me quit doing shows where people were drinking because some of the women got into it a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
So, when the women come up and grab your sideburns and lip lock you, they've had too much to drink, according to my wife. So, had to cut all that out. So, that kind of works two ways there.
How about did you do anything with charity events, conventions?
That's all I did. I never did it for money. I did some weddings, but I never charged. I always did fundraising is what I did.
Awesome.
Rob, just give your first In the Ghetto song. Give me just that part of it, In the Ghetto. Let's see what you got.
I got to get the words.
No, just In the Ghetto. In the Ghetto.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how it starts.
Listen.
As the snow flies. The little baby's born. Oh man, I don't know. Let me look up the words.
All I was asking for was this. In the Ghetto. That's all I was asking for, that part.
That's not how it starts though.
But that's all I was asking. I know you don't know the words.
People, don't you understand?
No.
Child needs a helping hand. He's gonna be an angry young man someday. Take a look at you and me. Are we too blind to see?
Oh, that's pretty good. It's actually better than I thought.
Thank
Right.
you. You
Oh.
see?
Yeah. Not too
But
bad.
look, man, we got Elvis in the house. Let's hear him do it.
Man, I can't follow that.
Yeah, you
Man,
can. I know you.
that was original.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Did you ever go to the Elvis conventions? Did you ever try one of those?
Never did. But I got a lot of looks at Graceland because I had the black hair and the sideburns. A lot of people looked at me weird.
When you were down there, did you go to Sun Studio?
No, I did not.
Okay, you might. It's real close there. It's down there in Memphis, and it's like a studio that the day that Elvis Presley went down there and recorded, it looks like walking into that day. Everything exactly the same, and him and Carl Perkins and Johnny Cash and Jerry Lee Lewis. Actually, the million dollar quartet. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know what shocked me about Graceland was the size of Elvis's house.
Yeah.
I just thought it was going to be a little bit bigger. I was thinking Beverly Hillbillies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a mansion like that. It was. I mean, it was. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a big house, but it was kind of a normal big house, I thought.
Well,
Small
he bought that when he was 22 years old for 105 grand. How about that?
Wow.
And that's something. 22 years old back then, 105 grand. He actually did a lot of charity work too. So you're kind of following in his footsteps a little bit because Elvis actually did a lot of charity work. A lot of people don't know about. And he bought was it a car? He bought something that used to belong to FDR. I think it was a car. Maybe I'm wrong, but he donated to St. Jude's and did a lot of stuff for charity. So like I said, I'm a huge fan. I always will be. I love Elvis Presley. I think he's great. So I think it's cool you do that. And also, it must give. I mean, doing floors is a stressful job at times, right? I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. So I imagine it's a welcome relief to find a hobby that. I mean, you're bringing Elvis walks into the room. I don't care who you are or where you are. I mean, it's a pretty cool event, right?
Absolutely. And after listening to y'all's last podcast on burnout, found myself doing a lot of things that y'all were talking about. Recently started reading books. Get away from television, politics, do something different. I actually left my phone at work last Friday when I left, and my wife, when I got home, she's like, "You going back to get it?" I said, "No, I'm not going back to get it." She said, "What if somebody needs you?" I said, They'll figure it out Monday, I guess. So, it was very nice to get away from the phone for a whole weekend. Never done that before.
Wow. That's a big move, man. I don't know if
Nice.
I know I couldn't do that right now. So that must have felt stressful and great at the same time, I would think.
Hey, Wayne, how'd you get into the floor business?
Just got a job the summer out of high school. Was going to go play basketball and kind of follow cabinet making kind of deal. And got a job. When I grew up on a farm, was very poor. So when I got that job doing hardwood 6 days a week, bringing home $200 a week, I'm like, dude, this is the life here, man. Bringing home this money, and there's where it got started.
Awesome.
I thought Rob, you were going to say not as poor as Wayne. You know what? What do you mean? You said you were going to go play basketball for who?
A community college, a 2-year college.
No kidding. That's pretty slick.
I used to be skinny and was real good in the game of basketball.
Down there in Alabama, I imagine you're like myself, a huge UK fan.
Yeah, I'm from Leeds, Alabama, where Charles Barkley's from.
All right. All right, let's talk a little bit about wrestling because I'm also equally fascinated by wrestling. And I went to a wrestling thing in our town here not too long ago. They would put on a show, and they're entertainers too, man. But there's a lot of work that goes into that. Are you a bad guy or are you a good guy?
Usually the good guy. Usually just depends on how the crowd reacts to you.
Huh. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that, how you got into that.
Well, it all started growing up, watching that on TV. Just looked cool to a 6, 7-year-old kid. And, I grew up wanting to do that. And a few years after high school, I didn't know where to look. So I just got into working with my dad and ended up finding a guy I went to school with. He did it after he got out of high school. And it was back in 2017. I went to a local show, asked him, I was like, hey, how do I get into doing this? He pointed me to the guy that trained him, and I've been doing it ever since.
Huh. Were you an athlete in high school?
I wasn't the best, but yeah.
Well, because those guys are athletes that do that, man.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question about it. Actually, I don't know how many people know, but wrestling is like the oldest sport in the world. It goes like back over 15,000 years.
Yeah.
So that's, there's a lot that goes into that. I always thought the wrestlers in high school were the best conditioned athletes there are. So how was the first fight?
It was really exhilarating. I didn't know what to think of it at the time, but no, it was a lot of fun.
So Marshall, you and I were talking. I was telling you how much my buddies and I used to love to go to wrestling, and there was only one way to go to a wrestling match, we thought, and that was to go to a wrestling match and root for bad guy wrestler, because it just drove everybody in the place crazy. It was hysterical. And so when I had asked him, I said, the first thing I said to Marshall was, are you a good guy or a bad guy? And he says, well, I was a good guy, but tell us a little bit about when you were a bad guy, like what the fans thought, what you did to a couple of the kids, and how your mother felt about it. I mean, he had me cracking up when he was telling me this.
Oh, people hate your guts, even if they don't even know you personally. You're the bad guy. They hate your guts. It doesn't matter what you do. I mean, you can walk up to a kid, act like you're going to give him a high five and pull your arm away. Just simple things.
It's soon, I've been doing that to my grandsons now. You've turned me into bad grandfather wrestler. Give me a high five, and I put my hand down when I walk by him. He told me that, and he said he was also saying that wasn't the kid's father going crazy at you when you did that to him?
Oh yeah, I've had a kid's dad walk up and say, "Man, you're rude to these kids, man." I'm like, "Thank you."
Well, that's I totally get it. I mean, that's half the fun when you go to a wrestling match, because in real life, you can't go up to some big bad dude and start screaming at him. You're a loser. You're going to get your butt kicked, because you'll get your butt kicked. But you're in a safe space to just kind of like go off on these guys. And it's kind of must be like a release for a lot of people to do that. But I think it's pretty cool you do that. Have you gotten injured before doing that?
Not yet. No, knock on wood. No, I haven't been injured, and I've seen a lot of guys get injured. It's not hard to do. You're putting your body through a lot of stress and strain doing these things. Why it's important to stretch.
I don't know if you've seen the movie Marshall, but of all the movies about wrestling, I think The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke is got to be the all-time best. Have you seen that movie?
I have not, but I have heard it's pretty good.
Man, you've got to see that movie. That is just a phenomenal movie. I'll tell you another one. My second favorite is a movie called Win-Win with Paul Giamatti, with this kid who's like a troubled kid, comes to live with their family. The dad, and he's a wrestling coach, but he's got just a horrible team, and he's not a great coach. And this kid that comes with him asks, "Hey, can you mind if I come out and play on the team?" And he's very quiet kid, unassuming troublemaker, but very quiet. And all of a sudden he's like got man strength, and he's so good they don't know what to do with this kid. a great movie called Win Win. So if you there's two great wrestling movies at for you on the weekend.
Yeah, you forgot the best wrestling movie of all time, Ready to Rumble.
Haven't seen it. Yeah.
You like Ready to Rumble. It's
Oh,
pretty good.
I'm
It's a
gonna write
good
it
one.
down. All right. All right.
Ready to Rumble. Hey, how'd your mother react to Bad Guy Wrestler?
She didn't like it. She don't like me being an a-hole to people.
Mhm.
So, coming home and kind of smarting off to her at the same time was not a good idea either. So,
Didn't she get it? You were a
Sometimes-
Bad Guy Wrestler, though. You got to stay in character, I guess.
yeah,
So-
it's not hard to forget who you're talking to sometimes.
Have you I always wondered this. Have you ever gotten in the ring with a guy that just wasn't good at what he did, or you didn't like the way he was doing things, or the thing it just kind of didn't go the way you wanted it to go?
Not yet. I mean, I've heard stories from other guys. Things can happen. There are some guys out there that just, they don't care. They're just there to be there. But not a lot of guys nowadays. We all take care of each other and make sure things go smoothly. The last thing you do want to do is either injure somebody or piss them off.
And I think you're dependent on that other guy for a good performance. If he's not
Oh,
doing
yeah.
yeah, I mean it's teamwork really. If he's not doing his job, then it makes it tougher for you to do your job. And I guess
Yeah.
not unlike doing floors. How do you guys get along working together?
Well, we don't work together anymore, so it's pretty good.
Okay. Just like most families. Yeah, I worked with my brother, so I get that.
Yeah, he's the boss, man.
Yep, that's what happens.
Marshall Roberts is a great wrestling name, but do you go by Marshall Roberts or do you have another name?
No, it's martial law.
Martial Law.
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
like
There you
that.
go. Martial Law. Martial Law, you can be good or bad with that name. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
I actually think if you guys run a job site, you could turn this into a hell of a show on a job site. For fun for the homeowner, or if you're not getting paid.
Elvis does the estimates,
Hmm.
and then Martial Law goes in to collect the check. That's how it goes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
And how's business down there for you guys? You guys staying busy?
Oh, yeah. Every day.
Good, good.
How'd you
Um,
guys like training together? I love when I get father sons coming to the training. It looks like you all had a good time.
We did. I really wanted him to go. I asked him to sacrifice a week of making money to come down there and learn some new stuff. And, it's kind of got it made. Master Rob kind of pointed it out during the class that the things that's not fair, like Marshall stands with a power drive. I never got to use one when I was out in the field working. It's all old school, so
mhm.
it's a lot different now. A lot better on your body now.
Well, any tips for our listeners? Now we got all sorts of tips. You can give them tips on how to get into the business, the wood floor business, or some tips on how to get into wrestling, or tips on how to be an Elvis impersonator. This is going to be our greatest episode ever, man.
As far as getting in the flooring business, one thing I learned at the school, the Bona school, a lot of people are trying to get into the business and, never done floor work before. So I actually think your best bet to get in the flooring business is go work for somebody and learn how to do it. You just can't go buy a bunch of Bona tools and start getting jobs and think you're going to make a bunch of money. It doesn't work that way. I worked for a guy 3 years, went in business for myself, and still didn't know everything I needed to know about floor work. And I'm 50 years old and I'm still learning stuff about floor work. So, that's today's mentality is a little different. So
Yeah.
you can get into it any kind of way you want, but the best way is to learn before you go striking out on your own.
Learn before you earn.
Well, I gotta ask about the. See, I think I would get tremendous stage fright in either one of these endeavors. I put myself in either one of your guys' shoes. Whether I'm Elvis Presley getting it, going to go out on the stage and perform, or and then maybe even more so if I was going to go out and wrestle in front of a bunch of people. Uh, how do you get past that?
It's nerve wracking, being honest. I'm used to the singing part. I've sing in church all my life nearly. But putting that suit on and going out in front of a bunch of people and acting like an idiot, it is nerve wracking. You kind of have to psych yourself to do it. So kind of the more people there, the less nerve wracking it is. So, but no, I had stage fright, nervousness, every one I did.
Huh. Do you always end up with I did it my way?
No, my final one was I based a lot of it on the Aloha one. Can't Help Falling in Love with You was my last song on every one.
No wonder your wife, well, we got a little concerned about it. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay, you're gonna leave him with that,
That's
man.
a Pauline song right there, man.
That's
There
the move.
you go.
That's
Yeah.
the move right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's why his wife.
Did you bring the scarves?
That's why his wife fed him like that, so he wouldn't fit into the suit anymore. So
Uh-huh.
she wouldn't have to be battling the women out there.
Did you hand out the scarves?
Yeah, that and put a lace around their neck. You know.
Yep. Yeah, I can see the wife having a little bit of a problem with that. All right, and how about for wrestling? When you're getting ready to go out, I mean, sometimes there's many matches that night. Let's say you're the fourth match or third match or whatever. You see the matches before you. You see the crowd out there already, and there's got to be some amount of anxiety before you come out there and do that.
Oh, there definitely is some stage fright and nervousness. You know, the butterflies in the stomach. It's all natural, but I've been playing sports all my life, and being out in front of people, it's not been as bad to me as my dad, even though he kind of did the same thing. But it's definitely a different thing. Playing sports with a team. All the eyes are on whoever's the most important player. But in wrestling, all the eyes are on you. But
who says when you're ready? Is there somebody in charge or whatever that says, okay, yeah, you're ready to go out there and do this, or is that just something you make up your mind and you go?
I kind of in between both, I guess. But you either get yourself ready or they tell you like, hey, you're going next. So it really just all depends.
And is there a wrestler that you emulate or you go through and watch other people that you pick up a little bit of stuff from?
I watched a lot of the old WWE and WWF. My mom thinks I like to take after Diesel or Undertaker a little bit, but
Undertaker.
Yeah.
I definitely see the Undertaker. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I got a trench coat and a cowboy hat, black cowboy hat, but I kind of lean more towards the country boy lifestyle a little bit with it. But no, I kind of just grew up watching everybody, learning how they did things, what they did smoothly, and all that, and you kind of just throw things together.
Redneck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Roddy Piper was my go-to guy. God, I thought he was the best.
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair for me too.
Whoa, two Ric Flairs.
Yeah.
We're both named Wayne.
Oh, there you go. That's right. Yeah.
That's it.
I'll tell you a quick funny story. He's got this rough guy, tough guy look. And when he took over the business a year and a half ago, I said, hey, man, you might want to like put your hair up, in a ponytail and kind of look a little more presentable. You kind of look weird going into a house giving an estimate. You kind of look kind of weird looking, And he goes, can't be any weirder than Elvis. I said, you got me there. You got me. I've sold a lot of jobs with Elvis, so I guess you got me on that.
Well, all right. So let me that begs the question then. What was your worst experience? And I'll start with Wayne first. Doing this, like you know what, that band, this just did not go the way I wanted to, or what have you. Was you had a real bad one?
You about doing Elvis?
Yeah.
Uh, I did an outdoor event one time, and there was probably several hundred people there. And I went all out. I wore the makeup, the eyeliner, and made myself very beautiful.
Of course.
And that makeup started to run down in my eyes. And I asked my wife, I said, "How do y'all wear makeup?" She said, "It's tough." She said, "Y'all are wimps." But my eyes were burning, and it really affected my performance. And I was really disappointed. I said, no more, 90-degree outdoor shows anymore. So probably the worst one I have.
So you were 70s Elvis on that one.
Yeah, all the way. I love the 70s. My jumpsuit was the 70s model Elvis.
Nice. And then Marshall, how about yourself? How about when you had a performance that was just, man, this is just this was bad. It just didn't, because we all got those. I mean, right? I mean, everybody has one of those.
Well, I mean, me personally, I haven't had any, like rough matches or anything like that yet. I mean, I've had a few instances where something happened that wasn't supposed to happen, like getting a low blow or kick down low where when you're not supposed to.
Mhm.
And you feel it.
Yeah.
It can really mess you up for the next few minutes, and then you try to figure out what you can do to either get out of there in the match one way or another. But when you got a lot going on in your mind, then you get hit down there, everything just changes immediately.
Well, I mean, people talk about wrestlers or whatever, but say what you want. These are some unbelievable athletes, and to be able to get out
Oh
there
yeah.
and throw other people around like that and fall like that and do all these different things. I mean, just take two average guys that don't have that training and see how well you do. You know what I mean? There's a lot that goes on in that ring that's very tough. And that movie, The Wrestler, man, was an eye opener to me. What these guys put themselves through, man, it is just, man, another level. And how they can walk around. I mean, most of these guys don't last that long. I mean, like a lot of athletes, they're in their 50s, they're crippled. So be careful out there. I mean, Wayne needs you to keep doing floors for a while. Uh,
Oh yeah,
it's hard to run that sander
yeah,
with a limp.
yeah. He does a lot of icing and ibuprofen from wrestling.
Oh, no doubt. Wow.
I guess going back to people getting into this and all that, talking about going under somebody and learning how to do it that way. I think it's best to find somebody that does everything correctly and doesn't take shortcuts and all that kind of stuff, because there's plenty of those out there right now that do that. I learned from my dad for 10 years, and then he retired, and he said, you know how to do everything. So I just took what I learned from him. And I've been doing this a year and a half by myself. I haven't had any major or minor issues yet, but you just do everything right and shouldn't really have any problems.
And what areas you guys service?
All of Birmingham.
All over Birmingham?
But we go as far as an hour and a half away sometimes for certain customers that have lake houses, but we pretty much stay within, a 45-minute drive range. Yeah, Marshall was very impressed with the school. Master Rob, he really detailed things, no shortcuts, very detailed. That was very impressive to Marshall. It meant a lot to him because we've always taken those same steps in our work.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
As much as you guys, if you listen to the podcast, Rob and I get on each other a little bit, but I always say the line of trainers starts he is like the Elvis Presley of trainers, if you will.
I'd rather be the bad guy wrestler of trainers. I think I'm going to go that route.
Well, you already are kind of that
Yeah,
guy.
I kind of am. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can.
You're a bit of a coach.
And now we have that huge panel, and we got a couple of panels in Nashville, but we have one really big one that could be the size of a ring. I can see us all going there and maybe having a little fun there.
There you go.
Bad guy trainer. That could be the new thing. Bad guy trainer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Marshall, will have to give you some tips. You got to learn how to fall, right? You got to learn how to protect yourself and how to fall. And will you, like, I see these guys jump off the ropes onto somebody on the mat, and everything in my body hurts. I don't even know where you get the whatever it takes to do that.
He better know how, because he's got two long screws in his ankle holding together. He fell 18 foot out of a tree stand deer hunting many years ago, so he's lucky to even be here at all.
Holy smokes, man! And then you're getting into wrestling. Wow.
I figured I'd fit in there. All of them got a broken part of their body as well.
Well, there's an Elvis Presley song called "Can't Help Falling," right? I mean, that seems apropos. How many songs you do in a set, by the way?
I usually try to do about a 45, 50-minute show on average.
Oh my God,
that's a lot.
But you got to think you're wearing a double polyester suit. I mean, you got to think how hot you get. You get very sweaty, very hot.
Oh, I can't imagine, man. Especially down there in that heat, down there in the summertime in Alabama, no doubt about it.
Oh man, crazy.
Well, Rob was bragging about you guys, and he wanted to get you guys on, and I'm so glad he did, man. I mean, I don't have any other talents other than what I did with floors. There's nothing I do special. There's nothing unique about anything I do other than in my outside world. So to see guys that have talents like this and that can do stuff, and especially Wayne, you doing it for charity and for things like that, I think it's just, you're putting yourself out there. And with you and Marshall both, anytime you put yourself out there, you're trying something like that, I have a lot of respect for it, man. I think it's really cool that you guys do that. And you have a way of getting away from floors and do something that keeps your life full and interesting and rich. And do you guys go to each other's events?
I haven't done it in about 4 years. I've gotten overweight, don't have the hair, but I do go to quite a few of his matches. Yes, every Saturday night, almost every Saturday night.
No kidding. It's that often.
Yeah, for him it is, yes.
Is it always in a different town or different people, or how does that work? Is there a circuit?
There's different groups down here. We got Spartan Pro Wrestling, which is where I'm at, and they are stationed in Gadsden at the Gadsden Mall. And they have a show every Saturday at 7:00 in the evening. So, anybody listening in wants to go check them out and is around that area, it's pretty good 2-3 hour show, good entertainment. There's other places.
Okay, sorry.
There's probably a good 10, 12 groups that I can think of at the moment that are in the Alabama state. But no, there's a bunch of groups out here, and we all just have different areas.
So I can see one challenge already in wrestling. I bet you this happens quite frequently. You get a musclehead down at the gym who thinks he's a tough guy, who thinks, all right, you know what? And he's watching you guys wrestle, and he's probably saying to himself, I could beat that guy. And then he goes in there, but he's not a skilled, trained wrestler. He doesn't have that yet. And I bet you they get a lot of those guys that need to be weeded out or retrained or refocused, or, you know what I'm saying? And which comes with a lot of training. And no different than a guy who's a guy behind the center that doesn't have the finesse or the touch and the skill, like a bull in the china shop, that haven't put in the time. So I bet that's one of the challenges that sport has. You got to rein these guys in, work as a team.
Oh yeah, it happens every now and then. There's a guy that comes in, thinks he knows everything, and I mean, I've only been doing this the past year, in the ring, doing matches and stuff, but a lot of the older veteran wrestlers, guys have been doing this 10, 20, 30 years. They humble the new guys and the hotheads pretty quick.
Oh, I bet they do.
Wayne, do you still go to karaoke?
Not very often, no.
Dude.
Yeah, I kind of taken a back seat from it. I kind of got burnt out doing floor, man. So I just started laying low doing, 30 years without doing something different. It really got to you.
I can imagine. I'm just thinking, if you could sing that good, I'd be at a karaoke every night. And I wouldn't even tell them I know how to sing. I'd just be like and I'd go up there and knock them out. And if you could do Elvis Presley, you could damn sure do Charlie Rich. So
if I could dance, I could do Elvis full time for a living. If I could dance. So.
Yeah.
My wife says I have no rhythm.
Well, we got something in common.
She's just telling you that so you're not out performing for the ladies.
Probably.
Well, listen, guys, I really appreciate you guys coming on. It was a lot of fun, man, and pretty cool. And for taking the time, also for taking your valuable time to coming to a Bona school. We certainly thank you for that, and the best of luck to you both in your Marshall, in your wrestling career, and also your flooring career.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys, very much.
Really enjoyed it.
All right, this has been another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. Please stay tuned for another episode.
All right, Elvis has left the building.